Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankarashaya Madhyamam Asmadashaya Payanta Vande Guru Param Param Ishvaro Guratmati Murti Veda Vivagine Yomata Vyapta Devaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramaram Sajguru Pranatoshmaham Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good morning, Philippe. You got home, huh? Philippe was here with us and up to yesterday.
Yes, good morning for all.
Okay, and we're gonna move from the Mandukya Karika into the Tripura, so it's the same thing. Chapter 21, on the accomplishment of wisdom, the nature of wisdom and the scriptural lore. What is the meaning of this word lore?
It's like the tales.
Okay. After Parasurama heard all the teaching in regards to all the sadhanas and all the yanis and the obstacles and the difference between yana and certainty and purity of self-knowledge. So we got through all of that. We thought that Parasurama was fully satisfied, but no, now he comes back again with the same questions. And we're going to have to listen to Dattatreya presenting the same answers. So are you guys not tired of it? After Parasurama heard this from Dattatreya, he felt as if released from his ignorance. He again saluted Sri Datta and asked him with great respect and devotion, Lord, please tell me exactly how wisdom can be accomplished. Oh my God, I thought you have accomplished it already. I want to hear the essence of it in brief. So now I want a summary, like Swami Paramarthananda always present his summaries. Yeah? So now it seems to be part of our tradition. So give me a summary, a brief summary. The method should also be easy and at the same time efficient. Please also tell me the characteristics of the sage so that I may readily recognize the sage. So he's going back to similar questions, asking for further clarification. He says, what is the state of the sage? Uh, with or without the body. So this without the body is a little funny, yeah, because Dattatreya, I mean, from what I remember, I read this chapter did not address, I mean, a yoni without the body. So how can they be unattached through actions? Kindly tell me everything again. Thus requested, the son of Atri spoke to him with pleasure. Listen, Rama, I'm now telling you the secret of how to gain accomplishment. So, all of all the requisites for wisdom, divine grace is the most important. He who has entirely surrendered himself to Brahman, the goddess, Tripura, as, as his own self, is sure to gain wisdom readily. This is the best of all the methods. So here again we have Dattatreya leaning towards devotion, say, of all sadhanas, the most important is divine grace. So divine grace is only possible because it does not fall by chance. You know? Divine grace involves total devotion, surrender, and obsession with Tripura as one's own self. So then, what is the difference between inquiry and devotion? So when we look into those two apparently different paths, we understand that's the same thing. So when you are so attracted to something, I mean, you want to not only experience it, but you want to understand it, to know it. So the attraction is enormous. So you come to a point that you understand that to know the self which resides within every Jivatma, is the highest goal, the highest value, and the only way to be happy, to be liberated. So once that is clear, the attraction and this magnetic pull from the self, the absolute self pulling the self under the spell of separation is so great that one, in the words of Dattatreya, surrenders to that power, surrenders to that magnet pull back to the understanding of my non-dual nature, oneness of the self. So we can see that as a desire, or a surrender. It's either a desire to understand, my full, whole, and complete nature, but we can also see it as a process of surrender. Surrender in the sense that I'm just I'm just allowing this pull back. How many times we have this strong pull and we resist. So surrender is kind of okay. So now it became clear this is really the only real purpose in life, which is the real valuable accomplishment. And but a lot of the time we stay like on and off, and resisting it somehow. I mean, ignorance is going to provide some resistance, as we know. But surrender there is devotion, and this devotional surrender brings about something referred here as the blessings, not the blessings. It says of the not the blessing, divine grace, the famous divine grace. So it is a strong pull which allows the body mind to become humble and to loosen up of the mistaken identity as the body, the sense of separation, and then divine grace takes place. So divine grace is being produced by the Lord or by something else. I mean, we know it's both. Because grace does not come like to anyone in any circumstance. One has to be in that condition without any resistance, surrendering to that pull back towards the self. There's nothing to do with traveling in space time, but it's a pull in one's understanding, that I am consciousness, I am whole, full, and complete, and that requires a profound understanding of the problems of identifying with the body mind as the very source of suffering. Thus request the son of Atri spoke to Parasurama with great pleasure. Rama, I'm now telling you the secrets. Of all the requisites for wisdom, divine grace is the most important. This is the best of all methods. This method does not require other aids to reinforce its efficiency, as other methods do for accomplishing an end. So we know that anything we want to accomplish, we need to go through some means. Yeah? And some means, usually it is an action means and an intellectual understanding knowledge means. So this method of surrendering to the divine grace does not need any other means, because you are surrendering to yourself. Since you are the self, so there's nothing you can do to get there. You're just allowing that that understanding to take over. To take you over, take the ego over. Pure intelligence, illumining all, has cast the veil of ignorance of her own overall. Her true nature is evident only after removing this veil by using discrimination. Now discrimination comes into place. So I need to surrender. I want to be graced. And who's going to grace? My own self. But you need to drop the mask of the ego so that your own self can, shine, appearing as if it's gracing you. But you need to let go. Vanity and the ego and its arrogance and sense of I'm the one doing and thinking, I'm the one making this accomplishment and so on. So all this sense of worship needs to be surrendered within this understanding that I am the self, and in fact, I don't need to surrender. When we talk about surrender, so fundamentally, we are surrendering our ignorance of our suffering. You understand? So I am already that. So it's just a wrong concept is preventing me from enjoying, appreciating, and enjoying my whole, full, and complete nature. So there is not much to it. It's just like we have nothing to lose, as we often say. So this is very simple. A little bit of discrimination, and then you surrender your ignorance. So before that, you need to develop a certain intellect to see ignorance for what it is as the fundamental cause of suffering. When you see something as the fundamental cause of suffering, you have no problem to say, hey, please take it back. Hey, put it somewhere, but I don't want to own it anymore. Because it hurts. This is hard for those whose minds are extroverted. So what is an extroverted mind? It's a mind that I'm suffering, but I'm sure that I'm going to take care of this out there in the world. Trying to control my experience, trying to attract things that give me a sense of security and satisfaction. So it's very difficult when the mind is there, because if the mind is extrovert, it's all the time is reinforcing this extroversion, this vatana, this vastness for consuming objects of experience as a means to resolve this fundamental problem. So if the mind is extrovert, direct, outward, it's not easy. Otherwise, it's very simple, easy, and quick. If the devotee is already engrossed, is really obsessed, is already, experienced this pull, of the self, Paramatma, pulling Jiva Atma and dissolving the Jiva just to allow the Atma to remain as Atma, pure Atma. So the devotee must be engrossed in this surrender, this devotion, this desire, to the exclusion of all other desires. This is another obstacle. If we have many other desires, I want this, but I want that, and that. And then this devotion, this surrender, this mumuksha, well, it's not going to gain enough power, to break quote unquote, to break through this fundamental veil of ignorance. An intense devotee, though endowed with only a little discipline of other kinds, such as dispassion, can readily understand the truth, though only theoretically, and expound it to others. Such exposition to others helps him to imbue those notions, ideas, and so be absorbed, and so he absorbs the truth. This is a nice concept, which again highlights sharing this knowledge as one of the best sadhanas. Why I enjoy doing this thing? Because it keeps my mind on the scriptures 24/7, almost not 24/7, but almost every day. And it's just your certainty of self-knowledge grows, and the fruits of this certainty is evident. You become more and more uh, strong in knowledge and emotionally dealing with life, knowing that you are free and independent of the body, mind, and the world. It grows, it grows. Uh, and then it says that the devotee, even if he does not have many other uh, qualifications developed, if he feels this strong desire for Brahman, for understanding the self. No, I mean, we are all Vedantins, so we don't want to meet Brahman or experience Brahman. We want to understand I am Brahman. This is intense desire, that I experienced firsthand, and I know how it is. You know everything intellectually, but you want to be free of any uh, doubt. Yeah? So, and that doesn't matter if you don't have many other qualifications, because this desire is the most important, mumukshuva. And then such a disciple, this is very nice, he has a strong pull, and the surrender is there, the desire to understand one's nature in Brahman is there. But the knowledge, the self-knowledge is there. It's totally clear, but it's theoretical. It's saying here. He has already understanding the truth, although only theoretically. So it is the base. You know everything, but somehow there is yet some doubts hanging, and preventing one to claim it and to say, okay, now I'm done. So now there is no seeking anymore. I have no doubts anymore. So he has this devotion, he has this strong desire, he has no doubt on the theoretical level, and he has so much understanding from that standpoint that he becomes someone who shares these teachings with others. So one thing that I'm becoming aware lately is that because I keep hearing from other people, and recently from someone who visited with me before we began our seminar here, he came this February, beginning of the year. He was there, and he spent some time with Swami Paramarthananda. And Paramarthananda, first thing he says, so you have to begin teaching, you have to begin sharing this. But I need to learn it first. You just begin teaching. Find one friend or two friends, begin sharing with one or two friends, but begin sharing, you know. And I heard from another guy who, my friend Stan, tells me that he went to Chennai and contact Swami and ask the Swamiji to give him his blessing for him to go to Portugal and begin ashram Vedanta. And Swami was, yes, go, you have my blessings. You understand? So it is a great sadhana. Right? And as we know, I think it was Dayananda, also Paramarthananda, he teaches a very simple trick. You invite people for a tea or a coffee and make a big jar of tea or coffee, but very hot so that people cannot drink fast enough. And then you have 10, 20, 30 minutes to teach them the Danta while they have to wait for the coffee to cool down. So Swami gives us some practical advice as well. So and then this the privilege of exposing this knowledge helps him to assimilate and internalize it over the time. And this process leads to identify not only his own individual self as Shiva, as the Paramatma self, but he starts identifying and living from that vision that everyone is but Shiva, the self. So this is the process. So because it's not enough, we see I am the self, I am the self, I am the self. This I am the self has to expand to see the self in everyone and everything as well. As we live one's life, you see the beauty of the self, and sometimes you feel sorry when you see the beauty of the self under the spell of ignorance. But this is compassion. Compassion is to see others who are the self suffering from this apparent ignorance, and knowing that there is little or nothing one can do except, to talk about self knowledge. So this identification with the self that shines in all beings, makes the Yanni one of the best of Yanis. And Jivanmukta liberated while still alive in the body. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga, the way of devotion, is the best of all and excels all. So what's devotion? It's a strong desire for something that sacrifices or consumes all other desires. And when we have a desire for something, we want to become intimate with this thing. And for that, we need to understand what this thing is, why it attracts me so much, what is the value of it, and what is preventing me from fully assimilating and accepting Aham Brahmasmi. And then the next verse is the characteristics of Jnani are hard to understand because they're incrustable and inexpressible. So, what are the characteristics of Jnani? We have seen that, it's invisible. You can observe some behavior, but even the behaviors can be misleading. It's so subtle and visible because only one self knows the way this Jiva self is experiencing the world, and if his vision experience is really wise from the standpoint of full self-knowledge. A pendant, for example, cannot be adequately described except by his uh, appearance, his clothes, dress, etc., because his feelings, the depths of his self-knowledge, etc., are known only to himself. So fundamentally, it's impossible to identify and judge others. So talking about judgment, so if anything, we can judge ourselves, but not in a negative way. We judge ourselves with very gently, just knowing that we were born of this uh, cosmic hardwired ignorance, and we need to be gentle and assessing my stage of development is very good. Assessing others' stage of development is useless. Huh? recognizing, trying to find out who is a good guru and not guru, it's not easy because it will depend on the level of the student. But fundamentally, you can trust Ishwara because Ishwara takes everyone to the guru that must deserve, that everyone deserves. And then it says here, so a plant can be understood only by another yani, no? So, and not necessarily because there are a lot of people that know so well the the teachings, and knows so well how to fake as well, that it's easy to make a mistake in that. Fundamentally, only the person knows to what degree one is really has neutralized suffering, and ignorance. And then he says a bird, and only a bird can follow the track of another bird. So a yoni, and only a yoni can sense, the wisdom of a yoni. But of course, there are some traits which are obvious and others which are subtle and uncrushable. Those which are obvious are their speech, language, posture in meditation, dispassion, which can, however, be faked, imitated by the non-sage. So I think you heard about the school How to Become a Guru there in California. No, you never heard? So there is a school in California that advertises how to become a guru. You go there, you learn all the traits of an enlightened person so that you can be successful in your business. I'm not suggesting anyone to go to that school. So, what are accomplishments to others? To the accomplishment of dispassion, meditation, prayer, remain nature to the sage. So, this is also very nice. So, the sage, the yoni, it develops some traits that do not require constant maintenance. It's properly integrated in one's personality, a sense of equanimity and balance and compassion, respect, to love, and wisdom and behavior expressed, and so on. So those which requires effort to it remains natural to say, observation of dharma, so it becomes natural to the yani, but it requires great vigilance to the anyani, for example. And then another aspect here is the best among the Yanis can, without hesitation, give complete answers on matters related to realization of the self and this sublimest truth. This is truth. The best Yanis somehow always find the answer and almost always uh, satisfying answers to questions that many times are being presented for the first time to the yani. And one time I spoke to Ramji about that, and he said, yes, sometimes when we don't know, Ishwara comes and helps us, to present the answer. The yani seems to be spontaneously animated when discussing matters pertaining yana, and he never gets tired of doing this. It's true. Oh, nice. That's saying today. Ooh, I'm tired. It doesn't matter. So my tiredness disappears. His nature is to remain without effort. He is contentment is a nature, is a trait, It's sometimes it's strange to see certain yanis that have bad humor. You know, isn't it intriguing? No, I mean I remember a few. I mean I remember J. Krishnamurti, one of the worst personalities possible. Not J, but Yuji. Yuji. Uh, I don't remember. Uh, he had a terrible humor. Yes, Lynn?
No, I didn't mean to say anything.
So there are people who are not very happy as Yanis, you know. I haven't met, for example, Nisargadatta Maharaj, but he had a strong character that sometimes appeared to be very irritable and angry with people. I can't say much about him, but I can say some about Papaji because he was always in such a good mood, you know, smiling, laughing, and joking, you know. So here it says that contentment and purity is another trace of the yogi. Even in very challenging situations, his mind is still content. An aspirant must first apply the test to himself and always prove his own worth. He can then judge others. There is no need to judge others, but you can assess others. This much we can do. Assess without any sense of judgment, you know. How can the repeated testing of oneself fail to improve one? Let one not spend one's time judging others, but let one judge oneself, if anything. This way we grow. What have there been called the traits of Yani are meant for one's own person is just to assess my level of development in terms of yana. And it's very complex. The yana manifests in a way that admits modifications according to one's own personality, temperament, and life circumstance as well. So there is no, a fixed frame on which, no. I mean, people have different uh, temperaments and different parameters, and then we need to do that to ourselves, not to others. Let take in consideration those things. What is my appearing nature? More Rajasic, more Sattvic, and so on. And then we see that because if you get a frame and says, let's test Swami Shimayananda. If you go there, you find someone so Rajasic as you. He did not pass the test. No, you have to understand that his nature is extremely active. For instance, a Yanni who has realized the self with the least effort may continue in his old ways, although his mind is unassailable. The mind is clear, is resolved, is protected. It does not. It remains clear and firm in one's self knowledge. And here it goes to one who has realized the self with the minimal effort, means to say a highly qualified individual that easily and quickly realizes the self. And then it does not even need to move to change one's lifestyle. It can continue his own old lifestyle, his mind does not require a change of lifestyle. Now, we say often that if it's necessary, change your lifestyle, simplify your lifestyle, make time and space for doing more sadhana and so on. But some people they say, I mean, who cares? I just keep doing what I'm doing. But you need to be highly qualified, and often it applies to people who realize very, very easily and quickly without much effort. He's going to look like a man in the world for all practical purpose. It's the case of the good yanis who are grihastas, doing things like anybody else, working and so on, having family or business. How can he be judged by others? Nevertheless, one yani will know another yani at sight, just as an expert can appraise precious stone at a glance. So we don't understand anything about precious stones, but we take to an expert immediately, sees and say, "Oh, I'm going to offer this much," and then you have to begin bargaining. But they know how to hide the value of a stone when they. He says that the yani will know another at sight. So it could as well be, but it's easier to know as you start interacting with the other yani and see what comes out of his or her mouth and what kind of actions he's put into. It's easier that way. But some yanis may just look, some yanis may have certain powers to see, oh, this is a great yani. Again, let's go to the entry level yanis, the ones of the lowest order. They behave like ignorant in their care for their bodies. So what it means, they have not attained natural samadhi while working, while engaged in the world. They are in the state of perfection only when they are calm and composed. They have not attained sahaja samadhi. Why the yanis of the lowest order behave like ignorant men in the care? Okay, the ignorant men, they are so obsessed with the body that they are all the time doing facelifts, among other things. So the ignorant man is carrying the body because they identify with the body as the bodies. The yanis of the lowest order also have sometimes that level of vanity. A little treat on the hair, a little treat on the face, and some exercise to burn the belly and the fat. It's still a little bit like that. They have not attained natural samadhi. They are in the state of perfection only when they are in a good environment, doing sadhana, calm and composed. Okay, and then they can hold to this unbroken self knowledge. They have as much of the body sense and enjoy pleasure and pain with as much zest as any animal when they are not engaged in the investigation of the self. Now, it's the same concept we have seen in the previous class. So it takes effort not to somehow to have those you know, lapse of ignorance or forgetfulness, and then ignorant behaviors may come because I'm in an environment that is not providing me with the best mental state to hold my self-knowledge, let's say, So self-knowledge needs to be held. And when this self-knowledge is held at most all times, so one is taking enjoy the benefits of self-knowledge because self-knowledge has become hard and fast. Hard and fast self-knowledge is that which is always available. So at the beginning, it's not really that way, and then we need to 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 create a certain environment, and avoid certain others to keep assimilating the knowledge until we calm and composed without effort or without requiring special kind of uh, environmental situations. No? Though they are not always inquiring to the self, yet there are periods of perfect state owing to their previous practice. So this is the entry level yanis. Now, although they are not always inquiring to the nature of the self, yet there are periods of the perfect state on each of the periods. So they have done so much devotion or inquiry that all that has created a momentum, and a certain background self knowledge, certainty that although one is not doing much, not thinking about the scriptures, one is still getting or enjoying the fruits of previous efforts, previous practice. Okay? All the same, they are emancipate because the animal sense is only an aberration during interludes of imperfection and does not leave any mark on them. So they may have some strong reactions. Strong reaction, animal sense, I think it goes to instinctive, emotional reactions, which is common among the Anyanis. But they emancipate because even in those moments, they have during interludes of imperfection, but the Yani recovers quickly and never identifies with those reactions. It's all a question of identification, and I have shared with you guys some examples of it, of just seeing ignorance operating, but the key is, I don't feel any shame. I'm not this ignorance, I'm not the knowledge, I'm consciousness, and everything is happening within me. Huh? Again, in the intervals of realization have an abiding effect on their lives. So even when you are in those intervals, but the self-knowledge is there in the background affecting positively one's life, the world does not continue to entrail them as before. So let's see the middle class Yanis are never deluded by their bodies. Delusion is the false identification of I with the body. These never arise with the more advanced Yanis, namely the middle class. Identification with the self, with the body, is synonymous of attachment to the body. The middle class of Yanis are never attached to the body. Their minds are mostly dead in that sense because of their long practice and continued austerities. So the Yani did so much sadhanas, and then the minds somehow dead. They don't sprout ignorance. So they the seed does not sprout like a roasted seed. Cannot grow to become a tree anymore, a plant. So their minds are like that, dead seeds due to the order long practice over the years. They are not engaged in work because they are entirely self-possessed. I don't know what work they refer here. They are not engaged in work because they are entirely self-possessed, just as a man moves or speaks in sleep without being aware of his actions. So also this middle class of yoga does enough work for his minimum requirements without being aware of it. So it's saying here that they are not obsessively, attached to working, because uh, he's so possessed or identified as the light of consciousness that does not do anything, that the yani of this middle class allows the body to do what it is designed to do, programmed to do according to one's pure nature. without the sense of identity. I must do, I have to do, I am doing, and I'm accomplishing. So the sense of the ego is not there claiming doership. Therefore, he's not engaged in working with the sense that I'm doing because I want to enjoy the fruits. This disappeared. And it's almost as if he's self-possessed. And then, so I give an example of a man who is moving and speaking during the sleep, okay? But is unaware of what's going on. The body is doing things, the body mind is engaged in the world, and there is no sense I am doing this and for whatsoever purpose. And then the actions takes place, and the actions naturally are reduced for one's necessities. He does enough work for his minimal requirements without the sense I am doing this. The ego. Having transcended the world, he behaves like a drunken man. But he's aware of his actions. His body continues on account of his vasanas, prarabdha, and destiny. Vasanas and prarabdha. Yanis of the highest class do not identify the self with the body, but remain completely detached from their bodies. Their work is like that of a charioteer driving the chariot, who never identify himself with the instrument, with the chariot. Similarly, the yani is not the body nor the actor driving the body. His consciousness. This is the identification that the most developed yanis, or far developed yanis, experience. So this firm identification in consciousness as consciousness. And so does that involve a constant remembers? Yes and no. Okay, because in certain environments, for example, a seminar, not only the teacher but the students as well, they hold this understanding. I am consciousness, I am consciousness, I am consciousness. But in other circumstances, such as, oh, I have a restaurant, I have to run my restaurant, I cannot hold that thought. I am consciousness, I'm consciousness, I'm consciousness, because there I'm the restaurant owner and I have a lot to do, for example. So he does not identify with the body and his pure intelligence. And this sense, I am consciousness, is more or less present at all times. But most importantly, it must appear immediately in moments of adversity. Because adversity, or even a great pleasure that may, steal the the wisdom of Oyani, because you can be deceived by adversities, extreme papas, but you can be deceived by extreme punyas as well. So it must be there available at all times, so that Yani is categorized as the further developed ones. So although he's not making any effort to repeat or remember, I am the self, I am the self, this understanding is there. And then if they say, oh my God, someone came here and ate my food. I was doing some work, and then comes a small crocodile and ate my food. And I mean, this is a huge rebirth. And in that moment, we has to remember, like, where is my protection here? I'm not the body, I'm consciousness. And, and the body, the foot of the body was eaten up. So what? Oh, what? So what? I am consciousness. So this knowledge is in the background and it becomes available, especially when we need to remember our moksha, our freedom. Therefore, he lives like an actor playing in a drama, more or less like a parent does with a child. Of the two higher orders, the middle and the higher order yani, the one remains steadfast through his sustained practice and control of mind, whereas the other, the highest, the most developed, whereas the others is not effort anymore, does not need to sustain the self-knowledge by constant practice. The other is there, steadfast in his certainty of self-knowledge, not by making a deliberate effort to remember, but on account of the force of his previous sadhana, his previous efforts. This is the momentum that I was meaning before. So it becomes effortless, natural. You don't need to effort anymore because there is already a momentum. There is a force of his previous efforts that is there, which has established this hard and fast certainty of self-knowledge. The mind is not only certain about that, but those bits and pieces of residual ignorance have been removed largely, to the extent that one does not need to deliberately remember I am free, limitless consciousness. It's there in the causal body. That's what I mean by when I say that this knowledge begins in the subtle body, in the conscious mind of the individual, dealing with the world in the in the wakeful state. But it has to grow roots in the causal body, so that it works for us without us having to consciously make an effort to bring it forth. You understand? It's there. It's there protecting us. So the difference between the middle and the more developed ones is the middle class one, needs to practice and remember and be vigilant and so on. Watch the mind and so on. And the other, no, it's natural. It is effortlessly. The difference lies in the merits of one's intellect. Therefore, we are saying the most important thing in this process is devotion, which is a surrender, which is a strong desire. And then once you get to that, and then you're going to deal with the fruits of that self-knowledge. And in some individuals, these fruits are going to produce a higher level of yani, and this is relayed here by Dattatreya as the merits inherent to one's own intellect. The intellect is very sharp and purified, and purification means the residual ignorance was further processed and discarded and so on. And then there is not much room for the surfacing of ignorance, of bits and pieces. The difference is going to lie in the merits, in the quality of their intellects. I shall now relate to you a story in this connection. Now we have another. How many stories we saw within this Purana? Here, Dattatreya is going to tell us a nice, beautiful story about a king. The king was Ratina Nagada, and he had two children, and he used to have his kingdom at the banks of the river Vipasa. He had two sons, and both of them was well educated in the Vedas, the scriptures. One was an academic, Yoni, and the other was a real Yoni. So Ruk, Mangada, and Hemangada. So one was all well vested in the scriptures, and the other had the was yearning because has assimilate all this scriptural knowledge, internalized to become one of the highest order categories of yanis. So one was had no knew everything, but on the intellectual level. And then on one occasion, both of them went on a hunting expedition in a dense forest, followed by their people, the people there. So they were all princes or kings, future kings. They account for many years. So they went hunting expedition. And then the one who was highly intellectual pandit, he heard that there was a sort of a sage there, yeah, which is Brahma Rakshasas. Yeah? It's a species of ghost or spirit that had all the knowledge, but somehow has fallen from the heights of a yoni due to some fundamental mistake he did. So sometimes people are up there and then does a huge mistake, and then he falls. He fell to become a spirit, and he was forced to stay in the forest like that. So Rook Mangada heard about that, and he had a huge vasana for disputation, for arguments, to debates, because he was so confident he knew everything about the scriptures. And he said, so I heard that this guy, this spirit, knows everything, and he likes to do debates, but he's a very unique kind, because the deal is like this spirit says, so if I win, I eat you. If you win, and then you can go. So, and this prince was so crazy. They say, so I'm so sure I'm going to win. I'm going to go there to debate this ghost. And he engaged this entity, and he lost it. And then when he lost, he was about to eat him, but his brother, he was the one, he says, I can never I always have to keep an eye on my son, on my brother, because I know that he does some crazy things. So thanks God, he was following him and saw the situation and said, oh my God, now he's going to be divorced. And then he stopped the ghost and said, just wait a moment, don't eat him yet. So debate me, because then you're gonna eat both of us at once. But the ghost did not like the idea. He said, no, I'm very hungry, so why that I did not eat anybody? And I'm gonna eat him first, debate with you, and then I'm gonna eat you second. And it was an obvious, clear logic. And then he said, no way. I mean, in the past I used to catch anyone and eat them. And then one day I ate the wrong person. Because before he could eat anybody passing by, there was something that happened to him that he was punished to live in a forest, and then he could eat people because now he's a ghost. But then one time a disciple of Vashishta by name Devarata came and cursed him, say, you are not going to eat anybody like that, You're going to have to debate them on the scriptures, and only if you win, you're going to eat the person, okay? So, and then that was after he prayed him to ask him, let me be able to, it's a curse, I hate to eat them if I defeat them, okay? Because before you're saying like your mouth is going to burn if you try to eat anything. And then later on, he was so hungry and he prayed to Devarata. And Devarata said, okay, I'm going to allow you to eat someone, but only if you gain some merits by debating another someone who has the vanity to say. Later on, we're gonna see that why he was in that course, was living that, because he had a similar level of arrogance, intellectual arrogance. Since then, he says, I have been following his instructions, and I don't eat anybody because otherwise my mouth burns like hell. I debate first, I win, and then I eat. Huh? And now I have waited for so long that I'm gonna eat your brother first, and then I'm gonna eat you second. Again, he was about to eat the brother, but then Heaven God again said, no, 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 please, I pray you kindly. Listen to me. Tell me if you would relinquish my brother, if other food were found for you, I will redeem my brother in that way, if you will allow it. But the ghost replied, no way, king. I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat him first. But then the prince was so insistent, saying, so no, you cannot eat. We have to find a deal here. I'm not only a highest level of Yoni, but I'm a good negotiator. I can offer you anything. Tell me the most precious thing, and I am going to provide it. And then he says, okay, since you are telling me that, one of the reasons that I am in this condition is because I have many questions that have prevent me to become a yoni, a sage of the highest level. In my process, I couldn't come to the direct self-knowledge, and I assumed the academic, theoretical, intellectual self-knowledge, and I developed pride and arrogance. And as a punishment, now I became this thing. But back in the past, it was told me that the day that you have all your questions removed and this self-knowledge properly assimilate so that you don't go around faking it, and then you're going to be released from this curse. So the ghost had no hope for this anymore. But since the king was so insistently offering him something, I said, if you answer me all my questions, the questions that brought me this curse, and then I'm going to be enlightened, and then the curse is going to disappear. I don't think you're going to manage it because my questions are very difficult, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to present you all my questions. If you help me to clear them, and then I will not have any need to eat your brother or you because I will go back to my original form. Okay? And then we're going to go into the questions next Thursday. Yeah, back from the comfort of my home there, Ishwara willing, of course. Okie dokie. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Good to see you guys again. Good to practice my English again. We meet again soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alinda.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.